Eustass Kid's moment is coming. Now that it's been a couple of months since the conclusion of the Wano arc and the dust has settled, I think it's time we address the community perspective on Eustass Kid. Since Kid was revealed to be in Wano in the Udon prison mine, the community had high hopes for him. However, many believe his performance in the raid was a little lackluster. Coming out of this arc, I've never seen a character do so much and get so little respect. At this point, Kid is the most downplayed character in the series. Well, second. I have never seen a character do even half the things Kid has done, who has been shunned by the community as a whole. And I think it comes down to a couple of factors. I think the biggest slight to Kid's reputation as of right now is that he suffers a lot from the show don't tell rule. The show don't tell rule is a common rule in writing, which pretty much means that the author should show a character doing, feeling, or experiencing something, rather than just telling us what happened. For instance, when Luffy finally snaps in Arlong Park, Oda doesn't just have Johnny say, "Wow, he's so mad right now." Instead, Oda shows the rage in Luffy's expression and his action that leads to the collapse of Arlong Park. In relation to Kid, however, we tend to get the opposite. We hear about him having a high bounty, but we never get to see him doing any of these depraved acts that resulted in it. And recently, his whole backstory got off-screened. Honestly, Law has done much worse than Kid, and Kid is kind of a cinnamon roll. We're told that he successfully infiltrated Big Mom's territory, but we never see it. We're told about his Conqueror's Haki, but again, we never see it in the manga. You know what we do see though? Kid without an arm, or Kid slumped in a prison cell with his crew completely destroyed. As a result of telling us about Kid instead of showing us what Kid is about, many have diminished perception of Kid. It's gotten so bad that even when Kid has time to shine, people just can't get their preconceived image of Kid out of their head. Despite how you feel about him, it's impossible to deny that Kid displayed some great feats during the course of the Wano arc. This was most evident during the raid on Onigashima. On multiple occasions, Kid hits Big Mom and Kaido with attacks that are clearly damaging them. These two characters have whole arcs pretty much telling and showing us that regular attacks simply can't hurt them. They are unstoppable tanks and forces of nature. The Scabbards and Luffy needed advanced armament Haki in the form of Ryo just to do some damage to Kaido, and advanced Conqueror's Haki was needed to defeat Kaido. But when it comes to Big Mom, Kid came up with a different solution, to simply hit her bigger and harder. He physically overpowered Big Mom on several occasions, and in terms of durability, Kid displayed some of the greatest durability feats in the story thus far. He takes attacks from Big Mom and gets back up and continues fighting. Not to mention, during the beginning of the Big Mom fight, Kid was also tanking damage from Killer due to Hawken's Strawman ability. Kid coming out of Wano has shown stamina and endurance feats matched only by Yonko. To deny the strength and endurance of this character is crazy, and anyone who disagrees must be reading Two Piece. Despite the glory of Eustass Kid being there in plain sight for all to see, I think the second reason for all the Kid slander is due to the company he keeps. Since Sabaody, it was made apparent that Luffy, Law, and Kid were set up to be the more prominent members of the supernova, and Wano made it evident that Oda plans to keep this going. On one hand, we have Law, who is a fan favorite with arguably the most valuable devil fruit in the series, who set into motion the events that resulted in the takedown of Kaido and Big Mom, and has practically been a main cast member for the last decade. And on the other hand, we have the literal future Pirate King and main character of the series. Then awkwardly in the middle, we have Kid. Kid was set up for failure. It's hard to stack up to these two juggernauts when the only thing we've seen Kid do is take L's, but I'm here to dispel the rumors and put a halt to all the Kid slander. Because I know it and you know it, Kid has something big coming. With the conception of the supernova, it is well known that Oda's editors encouraged him to spice up Sabaody, and on the spot, Goda created the supernova. But a slightly lesser known fact is that out of the supernova, there was one character that Oda had already had in mind: Kid. This means that even from early on, Oda had something planned for Kid. And we see that Law, Kid, and Luffy are a step above the rest of the supernova. This trio is something that Oda seems hellbent on keeping going even post-Wano. But what sets Kid and Law apart is that Kid is actively presented as a rival to Luffy. See him competing against Luffy in the Udon prison mine, and even at the close of Wano, where he and Luffy are still fighting over who can go to the middle island. It is clear that Kid harbors some animosity towards Shanks. When we first truly see Kid post-time skip, we see him forming an alliance with Apu and Hawkins with the purpose of taking down Shanks. Of course, we all know how this ended up. However, this is a point that is going to stick, with Shanks being the only remaining Yonko of the original four that we first were introduced to, and the fact that Law is currently facing off against Blackbeard. I and many people in the community believe it's only a matter of time until Shanks and Kid meet again. And with Kid arriving at Elbath, this might be the moment. At the end of the Wano arc, due to his help in the raid on Onigashima, Law decides to share with Kid a rubbing of the Wano Road poneglyph. This inducted Kid into a very exclusive group of pirates that possess road poneglyphs, making him one of the top pirates closest to the One Piece. But even if Kid were to somehow have all 4 road poneglyphs, they would amount to nothing more than a paperweight, as without someone who can decipher them, they are useless. Aware of this, Kid has a plan. He is looking for the man marked by flame. With the acquisition of the man marked by flame, Kid and Luffy would be the only 2 pirates that we are aware of that would have the necessary means to actually locate the One Piece. With us going into the final saga, it seems interesting that as of now, there are currently only 3 crews that have shown to be already in possession or actively searching for someone who can read poneglyphs. Luffy, of course, has Nico Robin, Blackbeard has just kidnapped Pudding, and Kid is searching for the man marked by flames. And I'm sure Shanks has his own method as well. As it's obvious that Blackbeard is set up to play a big role in the future, I think it would be ignorant to not also expect something out of Kid too. Well, that's it for me today. I hope I was able to convince someone that Kid isn't as much of an L as many people think he is. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe as I'm planning to make more videos.